Hey, welcome to episode 3 of The Road to Easter. We've been talking about this road that Jesus travels down as he moves this final week of his life heading towards the cross, which eventually leads to an empty tomb. And we're learning that in 1 week of Jesus' life, he deals with everything that we deal with in one life that we live. And he teaches us how to not just walk to a grave, but through a grave. This road that he takes is one of the most significant roads in human history because it changes human history. Now, you and I have all been on some kind of a significant road, and we've dealt with all kinds of distractions, detours, or problems. We've all had a car breakdown. We've all run out of gas before. We've all had issues, with trying to keep kids quiet in the back seat so we can stay on the road. And I think most of us have had some kind of incident of trying to haul something down a road. Maybe it was I think I can fit this in the car, and you really couldn't. Maybe it was I think I can just leave the back open and it can stick out a little further and it'll be fine. Maybe it was I got a truck, but it doesn't really fit in. It kind of lops over the side. Surely it'll be okay. For me, one of my favorite moments, and I say that tongue in cheek, was the time that I decided to bring a mattress home on the top of my vehicle. And it wasn't just a car, it wasn't just on a sedan, but it was a Honda Passport, and I thought this is gonna be fine. And so I put that mattress up there, and I had every confidence in the world that it was gonna be all right because I had 2, not just 1, but 2 bungee cords. And I put those bungee cords across that mattress, and I even formed an X with those bungee cords to try to provide maximum containment. And as I was headed down the road, I thought, you know what, I need an added security measure. And so I put my arm out the window to hold on to it. Because if those bungee cords couldn't stop it, certainly this gun could, right? And so I'm driving down the road and everything is fine. And you know how it is, you start off going like 10 miles an hour, then 20 miles an hour, and you need to get a little more confident, and you start going 40. And at some point in there, those bungee cords just snapped. And this gun wasn't able to hold it back. And that mattress flew off and bounced down the road into a ditch. I eventually got the mattress, and my parents slept on it for years when they'd come and visit, and I never told them about it. But I think about that road that I took. It's memorable because of the disaster that happened. Those bungee cords let me down, right? Now, you've had moments like that. People let you down, and it becomes disastrous to your journey in life. Maybe it was a business partner that, kind of took your idea and ran. Maybe it was somebody that backed out on you on the last minute. Maybe it was a client that was going to change everything, and then they went to somebody else. Maybe it was somebody you said I do to and promised the rest of your life, and they didn't give you that much time. They bailed. Maybe it was some kids that you really invested your entire life in raising these kids, and they just left and had no interest in coming back. Maybe for you it was your feeling of that at the church. You had a church experience in your past, and you just felt like they betrayed you, they lied to you, they left you, they hurt you. I know I've even had that experience in people before. People that I help, people that I give counsel to, people that I see their lives radically changed by Jesus through what he does through this church. And then they just leave. There's nothing like feeling that sting of betrayal. And friends, the only thing that helps me in those moments is to remember that Jesus walked down that road too. You see, Jesus doesn't just help us walk to the grave, he helps us walk through the grave. And that even includes the things that we experience before the grave. And for all of us, it's going to be a sense of betrayal. As we wrestle through COVID-19, there are some of us that feel betrayed by our health, or betrayed maybe by people that we thought could help us. Or maybe you feel betrayed by a God that you thought would remedy this problem by now. Jesus shows us exactly how to walk through betrayal, whatever sense you may be feeling right now. Jesus is gathering with his 12 disciples for this Passover meal, and we're going to get to more of that in tomorrow's episode. But at this meal, they're going to celebrate a common Jewish feast that they would always have. This would probably be the 3rd time that they've done this together, and all of his disciples are with him. Which, by the way, if you're looking for something to watch, the TV show, which is streaming through an app called The Chosen, and it's just the TV show The Chosen, is about these 12 disciples as they kind of came together to follow Jesus. It's a fascinating show, and it's really well done. You might want to check that out. But at this particular time, Jesus has these guys together, and they're going to go through this meal together, and Jesus is going to wash their feet, and he's even going to serve them this meal. But prior to that meal, one of these 12, one of these closest to Jesus, a guy by the name of Judas, is going to bring about the most famous betrayal in history. Take a look at how this happens. Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?" And so they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. And from then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. One of Jesus' closest friends, one of his 12 disciples, goes to the religious leaders of the day, and he says, "How much will you give me to betray Jesus?" 30 pieces of silver, not even gold, 30 pieces of silver they hand over to him. And Judas begins plotting for the time that this will be right. Now you fast forward a few days. It's the Passover Feast, and we'll get into more of that and the significance of that in the next episode. But they're seated around this table, and I want you to notice what Jesus says. When it was evening, Jesus sat down at the table with the 12 disciples, and while they were eating, he said, "I tell you the truth, one of you will betray me." Now that's quite an icebreaker for dinner conversation. And they all begin to wonder, who is it? Is it me? Is it me? Is it me? And Judas knows it's him. But he even says, "Is it me?" hoping that he blends in with everybody else. Jesus knows it's going to be him, and Judas knows it too. You know, there's a pain associated with betrayal. It's even worse than just rejection. In fact, I like how one author said it. Rejection opens the wound, betrayal pours the salt. Loneliness leaves you in the cold, but betrayal closes the door. Mockery plunges the knife, but betrayal twists it. An insult attacks your pride, but betrayal can break your heart. And here's the amazing thing. Jesus knows Judas is going to betray him. And yet, look what he does next. While they were eating, Jesus took bread, he gave thanks, and he broke it, and he gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat, this is my body." He confronted Judas, and then he served him. Don't miss that. Jesus is about to feel this pain of betrayal. It's already begun because he knows what's going to happen. He knows who it is, and he's still at this table. Most of us would just say, "You know what? Get out of here. I don't want to see your face." But Jesus has not only washed his feet, welcomed him to the table, now he's about to serve him what we refer to as the Last Supper or communion. And he breaks the bread and he hands it even to Judas. And he takes the cup and he hands it even to Judas. He says, "This is for you." Which this gives us our principle for the day. What do you do when people have betrayed you? And that is the best way to handle someone who does something to you that you don't deserve, is to do something for them that they don't deserve. The best way to handle someone who's done something to you that you do not deserve is to do something to them or for them that they don't deserve. And I don't mean getting even. I mean blessing them. That's what Jesus does. Jesus reaches out to Judas and he serves him just like he would serve anybody else at that table. All of us have felt the sting of betrayal like this. But guess what? All of us have betrayed Jesus before as well. We've betrayed other people, we've betrayed our Lord, and we deserve death because of it. But Jesus models for us what it is we're to do. Think of that person. Think of that person who has hurt you the most, who has betrayed you, and find a way to do something for them that they really don't deserve. But find a way to bless them. So, I want you to take a few moments and I want you to think about who is that in your life? Who's hurt you? Who's betrayed you? Who's rejected you? And what if we choose to take a page out of Jesus' book and follow him as he walks us down this road and find a way to celebrate them, find a way to bless them, maybe just start by praying for them. And I think you're going to begin to see that Jesus can help you break the bondage that betrayal has on all of us. In our next episode, we're going to dive deeper into what's going on at this Passover meal and how Jesus models for us how to live a life that leaves a legacy, something that all of us want to do.
Welcome back. My name's Dave, and we're so glad you are tuning in to our Road to Easter. And so tonight, pretty heavy topic as we're talking about betrayal. And Rusty highlighted and pointed out to us that Jesus helps us not just walk to the grave, but walk through the grave. And something that I thought was so profound was that he talked about that Jesus knew his betrayer and he knew what was going on, but he didn't just let it happen. He served him too. That he even blessed his betrayer. And so there is stuff in our life that we are holding on to and we are hurting, and people have betrayed us. And so the question that Rusty posed for us is, who has hurt you? Who has betrayed you? And that's the easy part. The kicker question is, how then can you then bless them? That's the challenging piece, to turn our betrayal into blessing. And so maybe it is something like, we all have our difficult neighbors that we live with or live around, or we have difficult family members that we live with, or our roommates are challenging as we can't leave the house right now. And so what is one way that you can bless them, serve them in some way? Maybe that's bringing in your difficult neighbor's trash cans. Or maybe it's making breakfast for your spouse even after that fight that you had. Or maybe it's sharing your toilet paper, not used, but one that you have a roll that's useful that you could share. Whatever it is, we want to know what that looks like and how you can bless them and how you can bless your community and the people that have been difficult in your life. And so I just want to remind you of something that we heard tonight, that when someone has done something to you that you didn't deserve, the best thing to do is to do something for them that they don't deserve. Because that's what it looks like to be the church and to follow in the steps of Jesus. We'll tune in tomorrow night as we continue this series, Road to Easter. We have a special guest, Tuvia Zaretsky. He'll be with us, and Rusty's interviewing him. He has some profound knowledge and experience in the Jewish faith, and he'll be sharing with us about the intricacies of the Passover meal that Jesus shared with his disciples. Well, I'll be sticking around in the chat. We'd love for you to engage with me there. And maybe you have ideas of ways that you can bless the difficult people in your life or people that have betrayed you, and would love to see those ideas in the chat. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow night.